Hi everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Craft Designs. I'm coming by with a quick tutorial today. Quick, I don't know how long it's going to be, but anyway. On using the packing tape with the UV resin. I normally fold the corner when I use resin. When I use tape. Whatever. Oh, and I did fold it. Okay, sorry about that. The first thing I want to do is I want to cut this image down to size. Now, I got a request to do this larger than the first one. The problem is, you can only do the width of the tape. With that being said, I guess I'm going to attempt to do it a little bit larger. And the first instinct would be just to piece it in the middle. But of course, if you piece it in the middle, more than likely you're going to see it. So I'm going to try. I'm going to try and lay a piece down, and then let me change that. I'll probably try and split a piece to go along the edges. And then put one down the middle. The reason being is I want the middle piece to be on top. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So, let me get a piece of removable tape and I'll be right back. Okay, I think it's working. I'm not sure. I've just got a piece of blue painter's tape here. That I'm going to use to stick down the image. Talk about a octopus move here. Just to keep the tape from sticking down to itself. Okay, I'm gonna split the tape. Really gonna try to put it down without any wrinkles in it. That is the point. Alright. Now, I'm going to burnish it down really good. And then once again, to try to find hoping that happened. All right. Now, don't put the tape away too far. Okay. Now we'll lift this up. Now, you can either fold over the outside edges and then just put another piece down the middle, or you could do the whole thing over again. So I'm going to remove my tape. And trim the top and the bottom a little bit. Alright, now sorry about the shaking. Okay. Now, the point of doing all this is to keep the resin from flowing under the edge of the tape. Now, when you just use one piece, it's fairly easy. Doing it like this is a little different story. Alright. Okay, now one of the things I know is that if you put paper directly onto polymer clay and then leave it there, it will leach the polymers out of the clay. So don't do this until you're ready to do it. So I'm gonna place the image down on the clay. Kind of burnish it down a bit. And then this on the end of my craft knife. It's kind of gross. Let's use the clay blade instead. Alright, I'm just going to leave 1/8 of an inch or so. 3/16. Now, the amount that you leave will be determined by what you're going to do afterwards. Okay. So I'm going to roll this out on my pasta machine on a 4, and I'll be right back. Okay. Now I'm just going to try to create a frame around the picture. A little bit of landscapey kind of texture. That ought to be good. Okay. I'll lay it back down. And just smooth my finger along that top edge so that it's not quite so rough. Okay. Now, I'm just going to take my color shaper. My best advice would be maybe the corner of an eraser. I actually picked up a set of these. They're ball stylus on one end, and on the other end they're silicone shaper tips. I got these on Amazon, and I'm telling you, they were like $6 maybe. Have I used them yet? No. Terrible about that. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a little bit of texture. Okay. Then I'm going to cut the edges again. Okie dokie. Now, it's really difficult to see what the background of this image actually looks like. There appears to be trees on this edge. maybe just a bit on this edge. I really can't tell. So, that is what I'm just gonna add. Okay, so just gonna cut this edge off straight again. Let me see. Hey, we'll do this side first. This may seem to be kind of technical. Okay, as you can see, I have just cut this down into ribbons. But it's still connected down here at the bottom. Okay. Now I'm just going to lift up that bit of landscape, let's call it. I'm going to mark where it goes. Cut the bottom of those trees off. Or those, whatever they are. Okay. Now, let's see if I can find my tools. I'm going to separate these little ribbons of trees, or whatever they are. Side. Then I am possibly just gonna take these thinnest little scraps and just put them sticking off the side there a bit. Alright, I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side, possibly off camera, and I'll be right back. Okay, now, I know there really isn't, but just to give the semblance of some clouds, once again, I'm going to run my finger along the edge, just so we don't have that cut edge to contend with. Now, I really want to make good contact with all of these edges. Go back over some of my detail. And add just a bit at the top. And what the heck? Let's make sure our blade's screwed in. And do another row. Not for any reason other than I just want to. Okay, and once again, really press it down. Okay. And I'll cut the edges. See that tiny little, there we go. Now, time for a little information. I've had a lot of discussions with people about when they bake, their tape shrivels up. So the tape I'm using is actually Duck brand packing tape. Okay, it's got the little ducky, and it says Duck packing tape. That's all I know to tell you. It's what my husband brought home. So, I need to get this off the glass. Very carefully. Now, the easiest way I can tell you to do this is quickly. If you do it too slowly, the clay will stick to your blade. So, quickly and painlessly, as I say. Now, if you're gonna try to use this as a pendant, which this one is a little large for, but if you were gonna try to use this as a pendant, you'd want to put your bail, put another backing. You want to do everything you need to do before it bakes. Doesn't matter if it bakes several times. You just want to do everything it takes to bake it before you add the UV resin. Many UV resins don't like the heat of the oven and they'll turn amber, which can be a benefit to you. But on this one, I don't want that to happen. So, this one I've decided is the perfect size for an ATC card. So, I'm not going to put a bail on it. I'm going to just stick it in the oven just like it is, and then we'll be back. I'm going to bake at 270 for an hour. The reason I forget to say this all the time is because I feel like a broken record saying it in every episode. But I gotta realize some of y'all are newbies, so I need to tell you that. The reason I bake for an hour is because the length of time will add strength and flexibility. The temperature should be monitored by an oven thermometer. Just a cheap oven thermometer from eBay, from Amazon, wherever, works just fine. I actually have two, because when my oven died and I bought a new oven, the first one's readings were all over the place, so I questioned myself and bought another one. They were both right. So, my oven, the dial is on 320, but the oven thermometer tells you the truth. It only goes to about 300 when it's really, really hot. But it regulates down at about 270. So that is the perfect range for baking polymer clay. If it's just a couple of degrees higher, you'll get browning. If it's a couple of degrees lower, it'll be brittle. So, baking is very important when you're doing polymer clay. It might be sold as a children's product. The directions are if you're just working on a nothing project, child's project. But when you've been working with the clay for a long time, you learn its secrets. So baking longer adds strength and flexibility, which is a good thing, because if it's not flexible, then it's brittle and will snap. I've got strength test videos, as well as a lot of the other long-time polymer clay artists out there. The Blue Bottle Tree is a great website. Cindy Leach, which is the polymer tutor, the polymer clay tutor, sorry about that, also has many strength test videos. Check them both out. I'll be back when it finishes baking. Okay, here it is out of the oven. I'm gonna take it off the towel. Alright, now you could highlight the frame a little bit with some Prima wax or some Inca Gold if you still have it, some metallic luster, or you could just use acrylic paint and use a dry brush method. That would work really well. I think I'm just gonna use a little bit of the Prima wax. I'm gonna use some old silver. Sorry. What? Goodness. Let's try the old silver on the top. Okay. Let's see, maybe some copper for the trees. Maybe just some vintage gold for the ground. I just want to do this before I add the UV resin. And I'm really trying hard not to get it where I'm going to put the resin, because it would probably act like a resist. Okay. Okay, so I have no idea where the camera was. I've put just enough to fill the background, but not to overflow it. I have a little piece of wire that I've put a drop of red paint on one end, just so I'll know the difference of what wire it is, to guide the resin around the edges. Then I'm just going to take a regular lighter, because I've got one bubble. Let me see. One more. Okay. Now, I'm going to put this under my UV light. I've got a really cheap UV light that I bought off of eBay. It's one of those nail lights. It's got 4 bulbs, so it's powerful enough to do all the UV resins. It's a 36 watt nail light. It will only take 10 minutes or so, but it's off camera, so sorry about that. So, I'll be back. Okay, since the camera cut me off, this is what I use. It's Ultra Dome. Hold it kind of still so you can see the web addresses. It's relatively cheap. It's relatively inexpensive. Let me put it that way. It doesn't pull back from the edges like a lot of the UV resins do. It doesn't have a tendency to leave bubbles. I only had a couple of bubbles, and they pop really easy if you just pass a lighter, cigarette lighter, over the top of them. You don't have to touch the resin or anything, just pass the lighter down close and they will pull the bubbles right out. Okay? I started out by just putting a little bit, and with my little wire here, I just drug it out to the edges. And then I went ahead and put a few more drops. I didn't overfill it. It's basically perfect. Sorry. So that is the key. Here it is, out of the oven. Out of the light, I'm sorry. Oven first, then UV resin, then put it under the light. Okay, unfortunately, you can still see the lines, but if you look head on, yeah, the top one goes away anyway. This bottom one's still, you can see it pretty well. But anyway, there's an ATC card made out of polymerclay, packing tape, and UV resin. Please like, share, and subscribe. My social media links are listed below. I do have an Etsy shop if you want to check it out, where I post most of my jewelry. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.